How's it going, everybody? I am Preston Johnson. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV.
You guys are general philosophy.
That's exactly right. You're a fish.
Qwan, by the way, my producer, Qwan Young, doing a good job. He'll be taking the calls. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome to the show, Bets TV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Last Word Cheetah. I am Preston Johnson alongside Matt Landis. We'll get to him in just a second. He's in studio hanging out with us today. Also with Qwan Young over there on the left, producing as usual. Happy Friday, Qwan's 7th favorite day of the week. I'm excited, though. We got Space Jam 2 later. I'm not sure if anyone's going to show up other than us three, but if you're in OC, LA area, Irvine Spectrum, be there out front at 3:30. We got some extra tickets. We're going to go watch LeBron dominate. Who's your favorite character in Space Jam, the original, outside of Michael Jordan? Did either of you have one?
Man, I was impressionable enough that Lola was
okay.
Was a stealth superstar, but that's been tampered down here, so I don't know what
I've heard about that.
While it's rolling in Space Jam 2.
Good point. I've loved Tweety Bird. It was just like the little bird had like one key pivotal play. He's like 3 inches tall. So anyway, we're going to have some fun. We're going to do that. If anyone is bored, Friday, that's today. Come over to Irvine Spectrum at 3:30. It's just across from our studios here at Bets TV. Welcome as well to those tuning in from the Game Plus Network. We are a show that takes your calls. We talk through your bets. So if you're interested in trying to throw a winner out for us, we have baseball back today. We got the NBA Finals over the weekend, Game 5 in Phoenix. Give us a call, 661-515-BETS. That's 661-515-2387. And we track your bets, too. And at the end of the month, we're going to give away, right now, the prize pool is $590. I'm guessing because we're going to do a 3-point shootout next week. There may be more prize pool money going in. We're also going to see how many times I have to take out my phone during the movie today, because the last time Qwan and I went to a film, I realized he anti-phone in the movie guy over here. So we're going to, I don't know, we'll set the number like 2.5. So you give me like 1 or 2 peeks if I need to. But that's true. Just leave it out. Yeah. It just counts. It stays under. No, I can go without taking the fun out, especially there's not like NBA going. Baseball, I don't care as much about. So no NBA game. I should survive. I'll hang in there. So let's talk a little bit about Matt. Again, welcome down. I know you're up in the LA area, drove down a little bit to join us. I've only talked to Matt one other time. It was your podcast, which I'll let you tell people in just a second where they can find you, where they can listen. But I was super impressed with, there's been a few times that like some smaller guys have like reached out and been like, hey, you want to come on my podcast? And I've almost always said yes, just because I used to be one of the smaller guys anyways myself. And I'm like, sure, like let's help out. But I have never had anyone now, whether it's small time podcast, media, whatever, or the big time people, like prepare for their podcast as much as Matt did. So I came out super impressed. He gave me this huge rundown. And then even just, during the interview, you were hitting on so many different things that I could tell. Like he really cared. He was genuine about it. And I think I told you that night, I was like, keep up the good work. You're going to get people that want you back, or vice versa, if you're actually putting in the work. It's like, for example, you spoke to Drew Dinsick, I think, Capper, earlier this week. He'd been on before. I'm telling you, like, if you wouldn't have had as good of an interview, prepped as well, he's probably not going back on your pod a second time, because I believe you had talked to him previously, at least one other time. So that adds up. So people out there that are trying to get into the space, just get into media or sports coverage in general. I wanted to give Matt some love. Now tell people where they can find the podcast, kind of the MO surrounding it, what the macro vibe is, and what you're trying to do.
Sure. Well, first off, thank you so much. When somebody like you will come on my show, being new to this, it just makes all the difference. So I know that
for sure,
if I'm going to make it worth your while, then I need to prepare as hard as I possibly can. So glad it came through. My podcast is called Props and Hops, and the focus there is on betting and beer. So typically, trying to get the right camera here, I got you.
You're good.
Typically what I'll do is focus mostly on the sports betting side of things, a lot of NFL betting. Somebody with your experience has so much insight to lend. And then also I have a passion for craft beer. I feel like there's a nice overlap. Not everybody's into both, but a lot of people who bet also like to drink some good beer. So my sweet spot is knowing that while I'm not world class at originating as a handicapper or at making or evaluating beer, I know a good bet, I know a good beer when I come across one. So kind of that curation of the best in betting and beer is my sweet spot.
All right, so 2 things. One, We're going to get into some NFL, some angles, kind of macro betting stuff that Matt sees going into football. Well, we'll get to those throughout the show while we take your calls. We'll kind of just go back and forth. We also have Ray G coming on later on the show to break down the Big Ten with me. He's going to react to my futures bets that I've made to this point this week, and then anything else that he wants to bring to the table there. Second thing, you mentioned the beer stuff. You even reached out to me. I think you already knew I don't drink alcohol, which is true. I've never had alcohol. But Qwan definitely has. So after the first break, I forgot until now. You guys can pop the beers open.
Ooh,
after the first break, you guys can, of course. It doesn't bug me at all. Well, we'll bring them on. You guys can relax. So we'll get those in a few minutes. Did you say Patrick? Did I hear a Patrick over there in left center field? Yeah? All right, let's bring him in. What's up, man? Welcome to Last Word Cheetah. How you doing today?
Hey, Preston. How's it going?
It's going well. You locked in the Giannis under half of a three-pointer yesterday, if I recall. You going back to that game, or are you going baseball today? You have a full card.
No, and before I give my pick, I want to give a shout out to Matt too. I mean, I'm a content junkie. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love the Props and Hops podcast. I mean, he does a fantastic job, as you've already alluded to. So, I like I said, I would highly recommend it as well.
So Matt doesn't have an IFB in his ear, but Patrick is giving you some love. He says he's a podcast junkie, but he does listen to yours. He says you do a fantastic job.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So there you go, sharing the love. Continue on, Patrick. We appreciate the shout out from Matt.
So, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot I like on the MLB board tonight, but I'm going to go with the Astros. I faded Dylan Cease last time out, and he pitched better than I thought he would, but he is one of the spin rate offenders, one of the biggest spin rate offenders, and I'm going to fade him against the Astros, who are number one against right-handers, WRC+, number one WRC+, on the road. So I think they're going to light him up tonight.
You played
I
over
took him earlier at -123.
You played over in a Cease
sorry?
game, right? I thought last time you played over in a Cease game. Or am I maybe mixing it up?
I think so. Yeah.
I think it won,
But
so it's a similar angle here.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I thought about the over in this game as well, but White Sox are still a little banged up, and Lance McCullers has pitched well. So I think I'm just going to go with the Astros.
Okay, I can give you a -123 on McCullers and the Astros. Good analysis. We see some regression from Cease. Obviously, the bats for Houston are just ridiculous this year. We'll lock you in there. Good luck tonight, man. We'll talk to you and enjoy your weekend.
All right, see you guys.
We got Carlos. All right, we'll take one more call before we got to hit our first break. Pop open some beers for you two. Carlos, so what's up, man? How you doing today?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
We're good. I feel bad that game got canceled last night. There was a ton of action going on between callers. I think someone actually called back in and parlayed and faded you and Bob at the same time. Yeah. It got a little out of control. I really wanted to see it play out. We're not going to see. But now you have a huge card to pick from. You have to have a winner today, Carlos. What are you looking at?
I do.
Okay.
I actually am going to take the Padres run line. Like Fade and Fetty. Yeah, that's
Chris
my
Paddock.
Right. I think it's plus money, plus 115. I think I saw.
Yeah, I'll look at the best price I can give you on my little mini screen up here. I can give you a plus 115. Yep, I got you there.
Yeah.
We'll lock it in. Is it a fade of Washington in any way? You love Paddock? I kind of like the Paddock train back when he was a rookie. He was someone that was super profitable his first season in the league. I think market's caught up to him, obviously, at this point. But what are you seeing in San Diego?
Just, I'm just more of a Fade of Fetty more than anything, to be honest with you. So
okay. I feel like
their bullpen.
Go ahead. You can say your bullpen
ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
I feel like 90% of the callers, they don't necessarily like the pitcher or the players. It's 9 out of 10 times a fade of the other person. They just completely dislike the other pitcher, or if it's Chris Middleton or whatever it may be. So it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But Carlos, we're rooting you on, bud. You enjoy your weekend, okay? We got to hit a break here soon.
Cool. You too.
Yeah, take care. I'm serious. Maybe it's just like the general negative attitude and like connotation of the world. It's like always like, oh, I don't really like San Diego, even though they're one of the best teams in the league. I just want to fade Fetty, and he just goes with that. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. He can roll with it. We're going to roll on the other side. Remember, 661-515 bets. We'll take your calls, talk through anything that you guys want to do. We'll pop open some beers, and we'll talk Matt, NFL, macro vibes, some angles that he thinks will still be profitable this year. Smells good.
Super citrusy and tropical.
I can smell the tropicalness.
Like pineapple and grapefruit.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Last Word Cheetah. I am with Matt Landis. I am Preston Johnson. Qwan Young doing his usual thing. Before we take Anthony's call, we need to play the clip from yesterday just to show you guys what happened if you're unaware with Anthony, Bob, Carlos, everyone else that was calling in. But first, you popped open this super like tropical citrus aroma. It's an IPA. I'm not even sure if that counts. Okay. So tell a little bit people about this one. Qwan's testing it over there on the side too.
Sure. So Qwan and I are sharing a can of Foggy Window. It's a double IPA by my favorite brewery in LA. It's called Monkish. Double IPA. It's got Citra hops along with Nelson and Galaxy. So a lot of grapefruit, orange, pineapple, just super citrusy and tropical. It's 8.3% ABV, and it tastes like it might have less alcohol than Bud Light. So really fun, a little dangerous,
nice.
but nice to share a can.
Right on, man. Giving you some love. Go. Yeah. What's more dangerous, the IPA or Anthony's call that's about to come? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. It smells great. Let's play the video from yesterday, the clip with Anthony, then we'll take his call, and then I promise you we'll get to some NFL with Matt. Right, we have Anthony on right now. All right, Patrick, I know you also called in, and I think you were first, but we have to push Anthony through.
Look, everybody has bad takes like you and the Reds every year, you know. We can't hit them all. I mean, look. It was the Chris Middleton Make-A-Wish game. I mean, come on, everybody has one. He had one. They blessed him with it. The guy shot the ball 50 times. Of course he put up a 40-burger. I mean, cut me a break. The guy stinks. I don't want to hear any of this Chris Middleton. He's like a top 70 player in the league.
We have another caller calling in. It's it's Anthony.
Anthony, do you want to change your mind on the Red Sox call for tonight? What's going on?
Anita Marks' husband just faded me, so we're gonna fade the out of him. I need the Yankees now.
Preston.
Hold on a second. I'm a little intrigued just because we've had some callers that want to bet over in this game because it's all Yankees, Red Sox, etc. Like generally, the thought is that these pitchers are super rested. Starters to relievers. I think I know what you're about to say. Should we just patch them in now? Anthony, if you really...
I hate to be the top. I don't want to keep calling in, but this slander has to stop. And Carlos is the worst picker this show's had called in. So we're fading the out of him. I need the Yankees and the under parlayed.
There we go. So Anthony liked the Red Sox, found out Bob liked the Red Sox, immediately called in, switched his pick. Found out Carlos liked the over, called back in to add a parlay to the mix. The best part is that I was like, there's going to be a way that all of these colors lose. I didn't expect it would just be a cancellation of the game. We don't even get to sweat it. So that wasn't any fun. Anthony, welcome back to Last Word Cheetah, man. Tell us what you have for us today.
Let's start with I'm not an esteemed colleague of Bob. All right, that has to stop. I don't know what he was saying that yesterday. We're not colleagues. We're not friends, okay? But I will keep the language. Like today. But we are fading Carlos. I mean, he's a DC guy taking the Padres against the Nats.
That's true. I didn't even put that together.
We're on the Nats, okay? We're going to start there. Carlos is so lost. I mean, sorry, buddy, I'm trashing you, but sheesh. I mean, what world, man? So we're going with the Nats today, and then we got to piggyback from yesterday. We're taking the Yankees again. We're parlay them up.
Okay, so I got to look up a little parlay calculator for you real quick. He wants to go, because I know Matt couldn't hear it on the call. I'm going to relay a little bit. He said he wants to fade Carlos again, so he's going with the Nats. He's going against the Padres pick. Carlos is from D.C. I actually forgot about that, so I think it's smart. He's like, oh, this guy thinks he can fade his hometown team. Not going to happen. I can give you a plus 135 there.
Terrible this year, too. I know, like 2 years ago or whatever, you were on the Paddock train. I was riding with you, but he's been terrible this year.
Yeah, he hasn't been as good. He has to add another pitch to his arsenal. He's basically only had fastball changeup, and everyone's catching up. I can give you with the Yankees at minus 104, a plus 361. Parlay, Yankees, Nationals. That work?
Oh yeah, lock that in. That's
Perfect. We'll lock it in. We probably should just count it as a W already. Just put the check mark next to it.
Yeah, after yesterday's cancellation, that was the luckiest break Bob and Carlos could have ever got.
Oh yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
hey, we appreciate your call, man.
Hey, Preston, no you weren't.
Have a good weekend.
Have a nice weekend, boss.
Thank you. Oh, that's fun. The best part about this is that we have Bob waiting in the wings right now on the line. Bob, Anthony said you guys aren't friends. I don't know if he took your apology to heart. Regardless, he kept it a little more PG, so that's probably a positive for everybody involved. What do you like today? Are you going weekend NBA Game 5, or are you going to go baseball?
Yeah, I'd like to, going forward, just be referred to as Bob the Clown, but not just any clown. I'm an
the average clown. Yes.
Yeah.
The average clown.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hey, so I got a question for Matt real quick. Since Anthony's on the Nats, what does he think of Natty Light as a beer?
Bob wants to know, because Anthony's on the Nats, what you think of Natty Light as a beer.
So, to me, a beer can just depend so much on your environment and your company. My father-in-law might be watching this now. Hey, Doug, what's up? His favorite beer is Natty Light. So if I'm with him back east, I would prefer Natty Light to the fanciest, double IPAs like this. It's just when I'm with him and the vibe's right, it totally hits the spot. If I'm on my own, I'm usually not reaching for it, but there's definitely a time and place for everything and can rarely go wrong with Natty Light.
Nice. There you go. Bob, do you agree?
Great answer. Great answer. I don't know. I don't think I've ever actually tried it. So there you go.
Right on.
Yeah. Hey, all right. So I got a question for you too. Would you factor in? I just saw something in the sports page this morning, but about vaccination rates of NFL teams. And so would you be more inclined to, do you factor that in as well? Like, hey, if they're going to be more likely to have guys out missing games, be more inclined, do you factor that into your win projection total at all, or not really?
Honestly, it gave me a headache yesterday. I'm not sure if you caught this, but a lot of the percentages of how many players on the NFL teams were vaccinated kind of came to light yesterday. I was in some threads where people started bringing it up. And my first thought was like, oh, great, I got to figure out now if these teams only have 45% vaccination rate, what are the odds that some of the guys don't end up playing versus a team that's 90% vaccinated? I haven't dug into it. I haven't had time to sit down and see if I want to even bother. I think in general, it's probably going to be a wash, just because you might bet on some teams where something happens. You might bet against a team that benefits you, right, where something happens. So I wouldn't fret about it too much, but maybe just being more cautious in general when you're betting NFL games, at least on those teams. If you're betting one or backing one that you realize, only half the team have been vaccinated or whatever. So yeah, definitely worth keeping in mind, but I'm not sure if I'm going to actually weigh it into my model or anything particularly. It's so weird. It was kind of the similar situation we were in last year with college football and the NFL too.
Right. Yeah. It's just, you got no historical data on it really, so it's just a guess.
Correct. Yep.
All right. Hey, here's my bets for today. I want to pick my and your Seattle Mariners, all right, money line against the Angels.
Okay, that was not a surprise.
Flexen's pitching though. He's 8-3. I think he pitched a 3-hitter against him last time. So, and
well, I have some inside information for you.
Oh, what's that?
Matt was driving down from LA. He actually passed the Angels stadium. He said the balls were flying out in batting practice. That's what he said right when he walked in the door.
Flying
No joke. He said they were flying out of the yard. So I don't know if you want to reverse your pick and go Angels, but they were flying out in BP.
No. I don't want to get the wrath of anybody who I'm a hometown guy. I'm voting for my hometown
Okay.
team.
I can give you a plus 133. Okay. I'll lock you in there on Flexen and the Mariners.
Well, can I pair it with the Dodgers against the Rockies? The Dodgers are going to, they've got Urias on the line, and Colorado's pitcher Senzatella only lasted 2 2/3 last time against the Dodgers. So
sure, we're about to hit a break. I will confirm the price after the break. I'll run it during, and I'll let you know. It's probably going to be somewhere in the plus 240 range is my guess off the top of my head, but I'll run it and let you know. Appreciate the call, Bob.
Thank you much.
Take it easy. Have a good weekend. We'll be back on the other side. This is Last Word Cheetah. 661-515-BETS is the phone number. We'll talk to you guys soon. Welcome back to Last Word Cheetah. I am Preston Johnson. Here with Matt Landis. He was nice enough to drive down from LA, join us in studio. We're all going to go catch Space Jam 2 after this. If you want to go, we got extra tickets. Irvine Spectrum. Be out front at 3:30. Look for the bearded guy. Tell us a little bit your general macro angles that you like to approach that you think are still viable or worthwhile in the NFL. I know we talked a little bit on your podcast when you had me on as a guest recently about one of these, but I was intrigued by another one. I'm just going to leave it open to you. I know there's two you want to hit on. Just take it away.
Sure. The one that we touched on when I spoke with you last month on my show and getting your endorsement really reinforced the approach here was, do you want to?
The teasers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the preseason, I would say that's perhaps the best part of the season to tease teams. We've got lower totals, which implies less variance. And then we've also got a lot of games just clustering around one or two. Coaches hate overtime. I think I heard Andy Molitor on the Deep Dive podcast mention they might allow preseason ties this year, which is great for this angle because the whole beauty of it is teasing underdogs up. If we can get a 1 or 2 point underdog cross up through a touchdown, a lot of games lined in the 30s that could be closing with really narrow margins of victory. So a lot of sports books in the regular season these days are charging at least minus 120. In the preseason, that's actually a very favorable price. And I've even found some books that go lower on teasers for some reason. So you might have a book dealing minus 120 or more in the regular season, and they might cut you a big discount in the preseason. So I just encourage people to check it out. And even if you're getting the same price in the regular season with less variance, tighter margins of victory in the preseason, teasers have just gone through the roof in value.
Yep. You got to take that. I know I'm leaning back. I'm relaxing while he was talking. If you have books, it's just where it's kind of just one of those things you should be shopping around. If you have books that are offering that, absolutely. And I think what I had mentioned is I hadn't gone back and looked at teaser numbers historically for preseason, but I think I said like for sure minus 120s have to be profitable there, which you just confirmed. I would say even upwards of minus 130 in certain scenarios might be worthwhile. So that's worth checking for sure. And then hit us with your second one. This one intrigued me. I haven't been following it closely, but you said last year it paid off really well.
Yeah, this one, I'm reminded of a term David Malinsky, the legendary bettor, used to use when he came across a really good angle. This angle was just a meal ticket last year. Shortest touchdown under 1.5 yards. And it sounds a little counterintuitive. It seems like a 1 yard touchdown is kind of threading the needle. It sounds really precise and less likely than it actually is. But between pass interference in the end zone or just the field shrinking when there's goal to go, defenses can get more stingy. A lot of touchdowns get punched in from the one. And I found that a lot of the sharper books, let's use Bookmaker or Chris, for example, they might have a game with a total in the 50s, you know, more points, good for the odds of more touchdowns. Shortest touchdown under 1.5 might be priced at minus 180. And that could seem crazy, but that's a pretty accurate line. And some of the more retail books would be dealing minus 125, minus 130.
Oh, wow.
And there's the temptation just to go ahead and play a little arbitrage with those lines. Take the over at one book, take the under at another, lock in a small profit. But really, if Bookmaker or Chris is dealing a line, it's probably right. And if there's something sticking out like a sore thumb somewhere else, then that's probably the play just to go all in, put your eggs in that basket. And I've seen that a lot with the shortest touchdown props. 1 yard touchdowns seem kind of weird and finicky, but they happen more than you might think.
No, I like that insight. And my first thought, which I didn't think about yesterday intentionally, because I wanted to try to do it live, and I know we have another break, Qwan, in a minute. But I wonder if the fact that more teams are going for it on fourth down, especially fourth and goal from the one, like that's just like I wonder if that's not accounted for in a ton of the potential outlets or the books that are offering it, just because it's kind of been a new trend. Say just even like 3 years ago, teams weren't going for it nearly as often as they are now. So now you're getting maybe like once every game or two an opportunity inside the 1 or 1.5, right? That they can score a TD on fourth because teams just aren't kicking field goals there anymore, at least not nearly as often.
Yeah, the Colts-Titans Thursday night game last year was a good example. I know Frank Reich wasn't afraid to go for it when the analytics called for it, and I believe that led to a 1 yard touchdown, whereas we might not have seen it from other teams.
Otherwise.
Unless you're Mike Vrabel punting from the 40 on 4th and 2, even if it's not fourth and goal from the 1, if you've got 4th and 2 from the 37, instead of a field goal or a punt, you might see teams extending drives, and that could lead to a 1 yard
potential
touchdown.
Opportunity. Yep, for sure. So I think that's not quite priced in. That makes sense. It adds up. Awesome work. Qwan, we ready to take the break? We'll hit it. We'll be back on the other side. We have Ray G to break down the Big Ten. Tell me where I was wrong, because I had 3 bets that I liked features-wise. We'll talk about them soon. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We have Ray G standing by to break down the Big Ten. There he is. What's up, man? How you doing? I know we've been trying to do this for a little while now.
What's going on, Cheetah, man? It's good to be here, man. Yeah, we've been trying to do this for a minute, and technical difficulties, but we're here. It's Friday, and I'm ready to roll, brother.
All right, so real quick, give people like a 30 to 60 second background on what you do. I know it's a lot of fantasy stuff, but you're jumping into the betting train. You have experience actually playing football, which I think is a unique perspective. We have a college show we're going to be doing weekly when the season actually starts. So let's start rapping, let's start jiving, but just let people know kind of like your background real quick.
Yeah, man. I mean, originally from Las Vegas, Nevada, so betting is sort of ingrained in my blood.
Yeah.
Grew up in Las Vegas, played college football at Division II Shadron State College. High school football in Las Vegas was pretty competitive back then. Played against DeMarco Murray and Steven Jackson. So a lot of good talent around me. So a lot of my perspectives from the betting side and the fantasy space comes from, actually playing the game to some degree. But here with Bets TV, I will be doing a daily show in the morning here in the next couple of weeks, talking about betting, talking a little bit about fantasy and sports in general, and then excited for the college football show that you and I will be doing later this fall, man.
Sweet, man. I am too. It's just, I once I start doing my college football prep, which generally is like the end of May, like when July hits, I'm like, okay, come on. Like it's still a month away and I hate waiting. We have to wait, but at least we can talk through some stuff. We did Big Ten reviews all week. There were 3 main futures bets that I like. I thought there were value. You tell me real quick what you think I'm wrong, or if you agree, and we'll just go from there after that. First is Wisconsin to win their division. The West Division is plus 125. So Graham Mertz last year, if you recall, first few games, my whole thing was that he looked fantastic. He hurt his shoulder, and then he was playing through an injury those final 4 or 5 games. He didn't look nearly as good. So I think there's upside on the Badgers and Wisconsin as a whole because if Mertz does play to that potential he showed in those first few games of last season without the injury to the shoulder. We already know, obviously, Wisconsin, their offensive line, run game, defense is super strong. So tell me if you agree, if there's another team in the West Division you think you like better than Wisconsin.
I mean, honestly, the West is loaded from the Big Ten perspective. Northwestern's going to be tough, and I know we'll talk about them shortly, but I like this bet for Wisconsin. You nailed it with Graham Mertz. I mean, there was a point in time where a lot of people were like, dude, this dude is the next coming. Like, he's the next big thing.
Yeah.
But I don't want to gloss over the running back situation because they had Nikita Watson at one point, but talented sophomore running back Jalen Berger is going to be a beast. And I mean, it's death taxes in Wisconsin having a strong run game. So I think the addition of Jalen Berger along with Graham at quarterback, I think that's going to be a tough team to beat. And I like your line of Wisconsin to win the West. I agree with that one.
Cool. No, that's good. We're 1 for 1, Qwan. No arguments yet. You mentioned Northwestern. We can get to that one next. This one, it doesn't really surprise me that it's so low because, and we've talked about this plenty, but the returning production and experience this year across the board is 77% on average for each school versus 63% typically because the NCAA granted that extra year of eligibility. You have a lot of players that have just come back and returned. Look, Northwestern, they're second to last in returning production. I believe it's like 39%, which is just so below average, which is 77%. So I understand why this is so low for a team that just won 10 games. I just believe in what Pat Fitzgerald does and their program and then their just general recruiting and everything there that my win projections like over 7 on average, and we're getting 6.5 at reduced juice, minus 105 is the price. I like Northwestern. I just got to trust my numbers and go with it. Tell me what you think about their team and how it sets up.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Although they've lost a ton of talent, in Pat Fitzgerald, I trust. I mean, this dude, since taking over that job, there's a reason why he's one of the most sought-after coaches year after year for larger college programs and for the NFL. I think there was a point in time where he was being considered for a couple of NFL jobs. But when you look at Northwestern, I mean, just they are a technically sound team. And last year, they only allowed 14 touchdowns, which was the fewest in the entire Big Ten. I mean, defensively, they are going to be a strong team every single season. So I'm with you on this one. We are 2 for 2. And that's why I think the West Division is going to be pretty damn tough because you've got Northwestern, you've got Wisconsin. But I do like this. I do like these odds here for Northwestern in 2021.
Iowa's in there too. They're the second favorite in the division, and everyone still loves Nebraska and Scott Frost, the potential there with Adrian Martinez. So the West is, I think, stronger as well overall. My last one, look, a similar type of thing. My numbers just project Sparty to not be nearly as bad as they were last year. Under Mel Tucker taking over without an offseason really to practice in a weird COVID year. They have Anthony Rousseau, transfer from Temple, who's played the last few years, I think can be a better quarterback than what they've had under center. And I trust their defense, which was top 25 in most of the metrics last year. It's 4.5. Like minus 110, I'm like a 5-win team on average. I think they can win 6 or 7 even. I just have to bet over on this team. And it hurts because they were so bad. They looked so bad last year. But they just have more talent. All their recruiting numbers, the last few seasons, it's there. They just need Mel Tucker to at least get their offense and hopefully Anthony Rousseau to a point that they can be average offensively.
See, and this is where we're going to have to disagree because they were so damn bad last year. It is hard for me to project any type of positivity for this team moving forward. Now, Anthony Rousseau coming in is great, and let's not forget Kenneth Walker, a really talented running back out of Wake Forest, transfers in, and he should assume the starting running back job right away. But I am not a big believer in Mel Tucker, and a lot of college football, man, you can project things based on some coaching trends of the past. I wasn't a fan of Mel Tucker at Colorado. And right now, I have not been convinced that he can actually turn this program around. I think this is the one where I'm like, if I'm wrong on this one, hell, I'll be wrong. But I just don't. I don't see them hitting 5 wins this season. This is one where I like the odds that you got on it, but I'm not feeling this one, Preston.
It's okay to disagree. I'm glad. It's so ugly. I don't think I've talked to anybody that agreed with me. I'm just like, I know they were bad, but look, it's 4.5 wins. Can they get to 5? They don't play an only Big Ten schedule this time, right? They have some non-conference games. I think they can get some W's. We have a break in 2 minutes, Ray, and so now we're going to transition from my 3 bets. We're going to hit some more on the other side of the break, so don't feel like you need to be rushed. But what's maybe the top couple picks or just angles or teams that you see breaking out, teams you think might be worse than expectation in the Big Ten this year?
Yeah, man. I think you can't. It's hard to talk Big Ten without talking about Big Blue in Michigan. And, this is one team that I had high expectations for. Things have not come to fruition. So I think 7.5 was the line that they're at right now for the projected win total. That's one that I'm not buying that one. I know they've got some talented recruits that just came in, running back, Donovan Edwards, JJ McCarty at quarterback, but Michigan at 7.5, that seems aggressive for me. And I do like Iowa at 8.5. And I know we've got a little bit of time to talk about that later, but we can't talk Big Ten without Michigan. And we're going to have to touch on a little bit of Ohio State after this as well, especially those Heisman odds with CJ Stroud, I think plus 1,200.
That's good. We actually had someone that called in a couple of days ago, Dylan, and he loved the Stroud Heisman option. Real quick though, Qwan's a Detroit guy. Michigan's his team. I'm not sure if this was planned. It wasn't from me, but going against Michigan, my numbers agree. I'm 7.2 is my projection. You can get 7.5s at a pretty good price. It's not enough for me to bet it, but I would definitely lean that way, Ray. We'll talk Ohio State. We'll talk Stroud on the other side, even a little more Iowa. Thanks for everyone that's tuning in right now. This is Last Word Cheetah, 661-515-BETS if you want to talk to us on the other side as well. We'll talk to you again soon. Welcome back, everybody. We are here with Ray G. We're talking over the Big Ten. He likes Michigan under the 7.5 wins. Doesn't see it. I tend to agree. Not quite enough of a difference in my projection and the market for an under, but I do lean Ray's way. You mentioned Stroud. I mentioned that we had Dylan on earlier this week, and that was one of his Heisman picks this season. Actually, I think it's his only one. Let's break it down because I think everyone realizes he has all of the weapons, Ryan Day's offensive system there in Columbus. But can he be at least somewhat similar to what Justin Fields was last year as far as his ability under center?
Yeah, I think he has a chance. I really do. And, at plus 1,200, that's what makes it attractive, right? Because you said it best. The weapons are there. And the difference between this season and last season is there isn't an established running back. You don't have a Trey Sermon there. I know they returned Master Teague, Travion Henderson, a highly touted incoming freshman. But ultimately, the team that wins the player that wins the Heisman Trophy normally plays on the team that's standing left at the end of the season. And I don't think there's any question, or at least in my opinion, Ohio State's going to be one of the 4 finalists in the college football playoffs. So if CJ Stroud can win that job, and I say if because true freshman Kyle McCord is there, and he's pretty damn good in his own right. And I know a lot of people who are tapped into Ohio State think he may outright win the job right away, which would, kill those CJ Stroud odds. But if he can hold off Kyle McCord, Ohio State's going to probably win the Big Ten, be one of the Final Four teams. And even if they don't win the Big Ten, they're going to be one of the Final Four teams, and that increases his chances. I think that he's got the talent, he's got the weaponry, and he's got the team to make a case to be a Heisman Trophy candidate and a Heisman Trophy winner at the end of the season.
Nice. So for those real quick that are tuning in and wanting to try to get down on some of the stuff Ray's throwing out, you can get Stroud, PointsBet, and FanDuel at 16-1. So you can get better than the 12-1. I know we had 12-1 on the screen, and he referenced 12-1, but shop around a little bit. There are better prices. I think there's even some 18-1s internationally that you can snag.
Oh, wow.
So lock those in. It makes it even a better proposition, right, than even the 12. Do you want to hit on Iowa a little bit still? I know they're in this packed kind of West Division in the Big Ten, but tell us what you see there.
Yeah, and it's another one of those things where you've got these well-coached teams. You know what you're going to get out of Northwestern every year. You know what you're going to get out of Iowa every year. Now, here's my thing, Preston. Last year was just so weird for a variety of reasons from the college football landscape. Some teams are going to play, conferences are going to play. They're not, they're in, they're out. There's no fall camp, all kinds of crazy stuff. But Iowa sort of went off their traditional path of being a ground and pound team. I think they were towards the back end of the Big Ten in rush attempts, per game and in the season totals last season. They've got one of the best returning running backs in the Big Ten in Tyler Goodson, and I think they're going to have to lean on him. He's a really talented kid. So they lose Amir Smith-Marset to the NFL, which is a big loss because he was such a dynamic weapon offensively for them. But with Tyler Goodson returning, Petrus has to be better. I mean, under 60% completion percentage is not going to cut it in college football. So if he can improve upon his game last season, you get Tyler Goodson the ball a little bit more, I think Iowa is going to be okay defensively. I couldn't tell you who's on their defense, but I just know that Iowa's defense is going to be solid overall. So I think that line that's set for him right now, it's aggressive, but I think it's obtainable maybe.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. First, I just looked it up. Their pass play percentage last season, it was the first time in a long time that they actually threw the ball more frequently than running the ball. So that was a great point. They still were about country average. They didn't throw it a ton, but it was just a lot more than where they had been at, which I think is potentially there's upside there. And again, Petrus has to actually make the throws. Second, what price would you need on Iowa then? If you think they could get there to win the Big Ten, like what kind of odds would you need? Because I think I see 14-1 range right now. Is that enough, or is it just like Ohio State's going to win it? You would only look at betting the West Division.
Yeah, I think that's more so because 14-1, I'm not going to sit here and complain about that, man. Those are great. That's a great line to take, right? If you're going to bet something on it. But I just think overall, it's Ohio State is the issue. It's almost like I feel like if I'm doing that, I'm banking on Ohio State completely crapping a couple of games that they shouldn't, and I don't see that happening. So while I like Iowa, I love what Ohio State's bringing to the table this season.
Cool, man. Well, that was a good breakdown. We appreciate it. Was there anything else you wanted to throw out before we close up?
No, and but see, this is why you are the sports cheetah, man. I didn't even know that about the percent. I just knew watching them. I was like,
Sure.
I've never seen Iowa throw the ball as much as like. Where's the run game at? Pound the ball, pound the ball. They had two talented backs, and it's just things that I pick up in watching the game. So I'm glad you were able to pull that up real quick.
It did. It lined up that time. I'm sure there'll be cases where you say something I test where the numbers actually don't agree, but that was one I was curious just off the top of my head. You got it. So, hey, Ray, real quick, let people know where they can find you. And then again, we're going to be doing a weekly show once the season starts. But yeah, just give people a shout out there real quick.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on. You can find me on Twitter at RayGQ. That's QUE. And stay tuned for Wake Up with Ray G in the mornings, coming at you live every single day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Central Time. So that's 8 Eastern Time. So just follow the timeline, and we'll be giving you more information on that soon. And looking forward to the college football show with you, Preston, here this fall.
Awesome. We appreciate it, Ray. You take it easy. Enjoy your weekend, bud. We got Matt back. Welcome. How's the beer? Fantastic. Still fantastic. Good to hear. We got 2 minutes before we have to take our last break. We might need the other side to finish the conversation. But you told me yesterday, and I think it's interesting because remember, Qwan, we had Pat Mayo on, and I talked about how the Steelers are the team that everyone I've talked to this point like under. They're bearish Pittsburgh Steelers. Pat's the one person. And I think most people think, well, I'm being pretty contrarian going under on the Steelers. They always go at least 500. Like, of course they can get to 9 wins. Pat was the first person that I've heard like the over. And I was like, I actually think you might be the contrarian. Matt likes under. So take a minute now. You can finish your breakdown on the other side if you need to. But I looked it up. You can get -114, -115 on the under 8.5 price-wise. What are you seeing?
Yeah, that's a great price right now. I think the cat has kind of gotten out of the bag, but a good shopper can still get a pretty good number, like you said. And a lot of why I like the Steelers under ties back to a recent conversation I had with Fabian Summer. He also goes by Suma in gambling circles. He came on my show and broke it down basically on both sides of the ball when it comes to their offense, starting at the most important position in team sports. Big Ben, a shell of his former self. Suma even thought that the Steelers might have the worst O-line in the league, and that was before they released David DeCastro. On the other side of the ball, a lot of stealth departures from their secondary. It's basically Minkah Fitzpatrick and little else at this stage. And beyond the team itself, that division is looking pretty nasty. The Ravens, we know they're a force. The Browns took a huge step forward last year. That seems like it might be pretty sustainable. And the Bengals could be primed for a big leap forward. So between the Steelers regressing as a team and the intensity of their division finally ratcheting it up after the Bengals and Browns have been perennial cellar dwellers, could be a rough year for the first time in a long time in Pittsburgh.
It's so weird to think that for a team that was 12-0 last year to start the season, I believe it was, right? So it's just, I think people are kind of hard to grasp they're going to be under 500, but that tends to be where I think the sharp minds are at. We got to take a break real quick. We'll talk more with Matt at the other side. It's 661-515-BETS. I know we had a few callers that were calling back in while we were with Ray. We'll get to you as well on the other side. This is Last Word Cheetah. We'll talk to you soon. Welcome back to Last Word Cheetah. Preston Johnson, Matt Landis, Qwan Young. Real quick before we get to the colors, I wanted to give Suma a shout out. You said his name. I doubt he's listening. If you are, I've heard him on a few shows over the years. I respect I believe he's in Germany. Is that right?
Yes.
He speaks English on all the shows, and he speaks it really, really well. And so for someone that had to live in another country, I lived in Portugal for 2 years and had to learn the language and had to speak it all the time just to figure it out and learn it. And I wasn't comfortable probably speaking it for like the first 9 months I was there for 2 years. And so I respect anyone that's just like, he's just started doing podcasts and shows a few years ago, and English isn't his first language. He didn't care. He just doing it. And he speaks pretty much perfectly. He has a slight accent, but I've always been impressed from what he's doing there. So shout out to Suma. Check out his Twitter. Check out his show with Matt. I guess hopefully in the last few weeks you had him on.
Yeah, had him on a few weeks ago. Twitter at Suma810.
There you go. Perfect. Let's bring on Brian, I believe is first. Cool. Brian, welcome to Last Word Cheetah. Man, what do you have for us? We got to go quick. We got to get a couple calls in, a couple bets in before we close.
Hey, Preston, I'm going to take the Dodgers money line tonight and parlay it with the Suns tomorrow.
Suns money line, or you want to lay 3.5?
Suns money line.
Okay, so like a minus 190 on the baseball Dodgers I can give you. And let me see real quick on money line price on the Suns. I can give you like 167. I'll let Qwan know. Yep. You'll probably have something around 2-1 range. So I'll confirm it after. Perfect. But we'll lock you in. Suns money line, Dodgers money line.
All right, thanks, Preston.
Yeah, man. You take it easy. Enjoy your weekend. We got Ty up next. Is that right? Cool, man. Ty, welcome to Last Word Cheetah. How you doing? What do you got for us today?
Good. I'll be quick. Looking for Blue Jays money line parlayed with Morikawa to win the Open Championship.
Ooh, can you give me a price on Morikawa that you've looked at recently?
I saw 5-1 on him, somewhere between 4.5 and 5-1.
Okay, so if we parlay the Jays at like minus 246 is the pinnacle number I can give you. We'll parlay it with Morikawa. I'll look it up after and lock you in, but you're going to be getting, you'll have like 6.5 to 1 or maybe 5.5 to 6.5 to 1. And somewhere in there will be your price. We'll lock you in for that.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Perfect. Yeah, man. You too. Last but not least, Sarab, welcome to the show. I know you said you're getting off the first quarter overtrain. You've lost 2 of those in a row now, but we have an NBA playoff game tomorrow. Are you going against what you felt the other day, or are you going to go baseball?
No, I'm going NBA. I'm actually going. I want to go under the total in the game tomorrow.
Okay. Tell us why.
Yeah, no, I just kind of think the series is going to tighten up. It's 2-2. You can kind of tell the finals pressure it seems to kind of be getting the Paul a little bit. You can kind of tell these players are inexperienced, and I just think the pressure is going to start ramping up as it gets a tighter series. So I think these are going to start trending under.
Okay, there's a couple 218.5, so we'll lock you in under 218.5. We appreciate the call, man. Good luck this weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Take care. By the way, I'd been kind of saying on the show, like I think this total should be line 218. It took a few games to get there, but I think now playing under would. You're kind of the times of the play was when it was 222.5, 222, 221.5. So I would pass now. Games 3 and 4 were the times to buy in. He thinks it's still going to trend lower. It absolutely could, but I'm passing now on the total for this one. We got about 2 more minutes left. Thanks for being here, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time. Let people know real quick one more time your Twitter handle, the podcast Twitter handle, where they can find it, and then leave everyone. I know you have a nugget, offensive rookie of the year. I'll give you like 60 seconds. You got some time to break it down for them.
Sure. So Twitter handle at mlandis18. The show Props and Hops on Twitter at Props and Hops Pod. You can find the podcast pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and so on. And yeah, the last bet I thought it would be cool to discuss would be Offensive Rookie of the Year. And this is one I discussed with handicapper Cleve TA on Props and Hops this week. He gave a great handicap, and I basically took away 3 key pillars behind Javonte Williams, Broncos running back, at 20-1 or better, showing value for Rookie of the Year. Number 1, anytime we've got a long shot like this, it takes some degree of luck. But while this is a quarterback award, and there were a lot of quarterbacks at the top of the draft, 13 running backs since 1995 have won the award. So humans who vote on this don't shy away from running backs. Javonte Williams, also a lot of talent. He has the highest broken tackle rate in Pro Football Focus's database. So talent, Opportunity, the last pillar. Melvin Gordon's ahead of him on the depth chart right now, but that's probably not
For
going to
now.
last. Yeah, he's probably
for
going to
now.
get traded or cut, and once that happens, Williams could take on a prime role from day one.
30-1, you can get out there, shop around, 29-1s, even 25-1 or better. He thinks it's worthwhile. Thanks again, Matt. Thanks to everyone else that tuned in this week. We are Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV. We'll be back next Monday, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, our usual time, and we'll talk to everyone then.